Texas has a secret. It's covertly planning to expand beyond its current borders, and that plan might just move America's second-largest state into the top spot in terms of sheer square miles. When talking square miles, Texas has plenty. Its 270,000 square miles of land is home to over 30 million people. But that land isn't enough. Several factors, including explosive population growth, a powerful economy, and historical claims to land dating back over a century, combine to influence Texas's territorial ambitions. What is Texas planning to do? And what could these plans mean for the rest of the United States if the Lone Star State can pull them off? We'll deliver the answers in this video. Let's start with Texas's population. Texas is one of the fastest-growing states in the U.S. It ranks second in terms of sheer number of people, around 8 million behind top state California's near 39 million residents. But while California's population is shrinking, it lost over 600,000 people between 2020 and 2023, Texas is growing. Texas's population has grown at a rate of just under 6% between 2020 and 2024. Only 3 other states have grown faster during that period: Florida, South Carolina, and Idaho. But while those states are growing slightly faster than Texas, they didn't start with anywhere near the number of people. Florida, for instance, is America's third-largest state in terms of its population, but in 2023, it was only home to around 22 million people, around 8 million less than Texas. Pull things down to the county level, and Texan growth stats get even more impressive. In March of 2024, the Texas Tribune revealed that Texan counties occupy 6 of the top 10 spots for the fastest-growing American counties between July 2022 and July of 2023. How is that even possible? The simple answer is that domestic migration patterns are changing. Once upon a time, an American on the move would have chosen California or New York as their new home. Now, people are relocating predominantly to the American South. Check the top 10 fastest-growing counties again, and you'll see counties in Georgia, South Carolina, and Virginia, too. All southern states, at least geographically speaking. The migration numbers are so high that 2023 alone saw Texas boost its population by almost 500,000 people, squarely making it the fastest-growing state of the year. How about we break things down to the city level? Again, Texas comes out on top for population growth. Between April of 2020 and July of 2023, 9 of the 10 fastest-growing American cities with populations of 20,000 or more were in, you guessed it, Texas. Salina, which is about 40 miles north of Dallas, was the front-runner. It more than doubled in size, seeing its population grow by 143%, starting at 17,800 in 2020, only to hit over 43,000 by mid-2023. Fulshire, near Houston, saw similar growth, with its population rocketing up from around 17,000 to over 42,000. Why is this happening? Well, the lack of personal income tax in Texas may play a role in its exploding population. The state also has no inheritance tax or estate tax. Even businesses will tend to do better in Texas than in other major hitters for population thanks to its sales tax rate. Granted, this rate is higher than most other states at 6.25%, but it's still a full percentage point lower than California's sales tax of 7.25%. Combine that with the lack of personal income tax, and people may be moving to Texas because doing so leaves a little extra money in their pockets. Throw in a lower cost of living. Texas costs 7% lower than the national average in this metric, and you have even more money staying in people's pockets. Even housing is great for Texans. They'll spend 17% less on property than the average American. So they live cheaper in every sense, making the state extremely attractive to new residents. But what about the effect this rapidly growing population is having on the Texan economy? You might think that having such a rapid influx of new people could put a strain on the state's economy. But nothing could be further from the truth. Texas has been booming for almost as long as its population has been growing. In March of 2024, the state recorded its 36th consecutive month of economic growth. That's 3 straight years of a solid upward trajectory that shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. The state broke records during that month. It increased its non-farm job count, which are jobs in the private or government sectors that exclude nonprofit, agricultural, and private household jobs, by almost 19,000. That puts the non-farm job count in Texas at over 14 million, a state record and another reason why there are so many people moving to the state. Texas is the land of opportunity, it seems, and its economy is benefiting directly from its influx of people. The state also consistently falls below the average U.S. unemployment rate, which stood at just above 4.1% in September of 2024 and was 3.9% in Texas for the 10th consecutive month in March of 2024. It all adds up to more growth. Texas's real gross domestic product, or GDP, shot up by 5% in the fourth quarter of 2023, which is 1.6% above the annualized U.S. growth rate for that period. Simply put, business is booming in Texas. So much, in fact, that if the state was its own country, it would have the 8th largest economy in the entire world. Business in Texas says that the Lone Star State has a GDP of $2.4 trillion. Not even Russia generates as much money. South Korea, Italy, and Brazil also fall short of Texas's might as an economic powerhouse. That economy is bolstered by a civilian workforce of around 15 million people, and Texas is quickly becoming the destination of choice for many tech companies. Toyota and Charles Schwab have relocated their headquarters to the state, with both having previously been stationed in California. Even Apple sees plenty of potential in Texas. It opened a campus in Austin that offers jobs for 15,000 people. There's also the Musk effect in play. The world's richest man has his Tesla and SpaceX headquarters in Texas too. Of course, it helps that Texas has no corporate income tax. There's a clear strategy to attract both people and businesses here, as neither has to pay a set state tax rate. It gets even better on the Texan economy front thanks to two vital products: oil and gas. If you'll pardon the pun, the Texan energy industry is the state's true powerhouse. Texas has the largest proven reserves of crude oils in the United States, and the numbers aren't even close. There are around 20 billion barrels of proven crude reserves in the Lone Star State, which is over 14 billion more barrels than second-placed New Mexico, which has 6 billion. California, which is Texas's biggest rival when it comes to sheer population, falls well behind with about 1.5 billion barrels. And the craziest thing is that people are finding more and more oil in Texas with each passing year. Between 2019 and 2024, Texas has seen its proven oil reserves increase by around 32%. The story is pretty much the same on the gas front. The state has the largest natural dry gas reserves in the U.S., producing over 9 trillion cubic feet of gas in 2022. Only Pennsylvania came close to those gas production numbers, with about 7 trillion cubic feet. All told, Texas produces 42% of America's crude oil and 27% of its natural gas, easily making it the top state for energy. All of those resources need people to extract them, which boosts the Texan job market. And, of course, oil and gas inject billions into the Texan economy. The industries paid more than $26 billion into Texas through state and local taxes alone in 2023. Texas is making a ton of money, and its population is constantly growing. But what does any of this have to do with its secret plan to get more land? More people and more money mean more land is needed. And in the past, it had it. Jump back to 1848 and the aftermath of Texas's War of Independence with Mexico, and you'll see a state that laid claim to what is now New Mexico and Colorado. Both states are younger than Texas. Colorado was admitted as a U.S. state in 1876, with New Mexico following in 1912, prior to which it was dubbed the New Mexico Territory. Could Texas be looking to reclaim that land at some point in the future? It seems unlikely, seeing as doing so would be tantamount to declaring war on another U.S. state. Neither Colorado nor New Mexico is simply going to hand over their territory to satisfy Texas's growing need for land. Still, there could be a minor possibility. Texas, perhaps more than any other state aside from Alaska, has a growing secessionist movement. In an informal referendum, 23% of Texans said they wanted their state to become an independent country. These numbers were heavily weighted toward the Republican side of the political spectrum, with 36% of those who voted for Donald Trump in 2020 wanting Texan independence compared to just 6% of Joe Biden voters. But what if that quarter of Texans get their way? That would open the door for Texas to act as an independent country, which could lead to it negotiating with the now 49-state-strong U.S. Texas could rely on its massive oil and gas industries for leverage, cutting off the supply to both until the U.S. decides to hand over Colorado and New Mexico to satisfy Texas's historical claims. Obviously, it's an unlikely scenario, especially given that most people in Texas still want to remain part of the U.S. But Texas might have better luck using its economic prosperity as a bargaining chip. That could especially be the case in New Mexico, which ranks just 38th out of the 50 states for the size of its economy. Real GDP growth in New Mexico has also been a problem in recent years. While the state recorded 5.7% growth in the third quarter of 2023, that came off of the back of a first quarter that saw a 0.8% decline. The aftermath of COVID-19 also hit hard in New Mexico, with the first quarter of 2022 seeing a 5.4% contraction in its economy. If an economic powerhouse like Texas came calling, it could be seen as a good thing in New Mexico. Join up as part of a new Texas and your standards of living will increase dramatically. Article 4, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution would be a problem, however. Though that article makes allowances for the admittance of new states, it also specifically bars the creation of new states formed via the junction of two or more existing states. So, Texas can't simply join with New Mexico or Colorado, making this approach dead in the water, unless Texas finds a way to secede. That's bad news for Texas, because it definitely needs more land, especially in its rural sector. Between 2017 and 2022, the state lost 1.6 million acres of farmland, creating a loss rate of about 890 acres per day during the 5 years. For context, a football field is around 1.3 acres in size. That means Texas lost almost 672 football fields worth of farmland every single day for 5 straight years between 2017 and 2022. Urban sprawl and an ever-growing population, combined with a sprinkling of climate change and water scarcity, all contribute to these rural land losses. Texas needs more land. But if getting that land from other states isn't an option, then how is Texas really expanding today? For the answer, we could look toward the Texan shoreline. That may seem like a strange place to look, given that the Texas shoreline is eroding at a rate of almost 4 feet per year. But it's the responses to this erosion that may help Texas grow. Those start with the state's Coastal Resiliency Master Plan, which compiles a collection of programs to boost the resiliency of the Texan shoreline. The Texas General Land Office has dedicated almost $2 billion to this plan so far, which incorporates 10 statewide actions focused on preserving and expanding coastal habitats. These plans will tackle the potential flooding that climate change may cause, as well as incorporate coastal hazard monitoring, allowing quick responses to impending erosion. So, Texas's master plan is to prevent coastal erosion so that it doesn't lose the land it already has. In a roundabout way, this is a growth plan. If nature was left to its course, Texas would wind up losing the entire coast. Around 80% of the Texas Gulf shoreline is already in a critical state of erosion. By focusing on the shore, Texas grows through land loss prevention. It can then focus on actual growth, such as the creation of new wildlife habitats, to leave more land available for the state's ever-growing population. If there's one thing certain, it's that Texas needs to expand to accommodate its growing population and further strengthen its economy. Taking land from other states isn't an option, but with its shoreline preservation projects, Texas can stem the loss of coastal areas and even start to rebuild. It's a protective master plan. What do you think about Texas's plan to get bigger? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.